Hello students, welcome back. So I'm Dr. Saurduti. I'm going to talk about calculations in Biolab, where I'm going to talk about calculations such as weight, volume, and concentration calculation. So in the last lab or last video, what we talked about is that we talked about how you can identify the parameters present. So I gave you a list of what to do, and then I know we discussed various parameters, how you can interconvert them and so on. So this, just to remind ourselves, so we have 4 steps for bio problem solving, and I am Dr. Saurduti, so going to discuss how to solve bio problems. So I am from Bennett University. Okay, so now we have identified what parameters are present or how to identify parameters. The first step is complete. Right. So we can go ahead and do the second step, that is identify the problem type. So to do that, let's take this example problem that we have been started discussing since the first video. So you have 200 microgram per ml stock DNA solution. You need to load 500 nanogram into the gel. So how many microliter of stock you need to load? So stock means this particular solution. So first, we will take the first step, identify the parameters present. So if you look at the first parameter here, you need to use the units, and you can tell that this is a derivative of gram per liter, or in other words, weight per volume of solution. Right? So you can tell that this is a concentration unit because concentration is the weight per volume. So first thing is done. Second thing, it is telling you need to load 500 nanogram into the gel. So this is weight because gram is weight. And then it tells you how many microliter of the stock you need to load. So this is an unknown and this is a volume. So you could tell that the weight is provided, the concentration is provided, and you need to find out the volume. So that makes it a first type of problem, that is 2 known and 1 unknown problems. That is a type 1 problem. So that's how after you identify the parameters, you could identify what type of problem it is. So we'll see more examples when we get to the numerical problems example. Okay, the third step now is to convert all units to the simplest unit. So this is very important before you actually solve the problem. Okay, otherwise this is, as I said, the most common mistake the students make. So here the conversion is like, for example, gram to nanogram, gram to milligram. So this, the multiplication factors or orders of magnitude you have to memorize to understand them. So milli, for example, is 10 to the power 3 times of the standard unit, meaning 1 gram would be 10 to the power 3 milligram. So 1 gram equals 10 to the power 3 milligram, or vice versa. 1 milligram is 10 to the power minus 3 gram. Okay, so this you can use for any of the 3 parameters. Like 1 liter is 10 to the power 3 milliliter, and 1 milliliter would be, on the other hand, 10 to the power minus 3 liter, right? Similarly, nano would be 10 to the power 9 times, micro would be 10 to the power 6 times, pico would be 10 to the power 12 times, and so on. So but the factor would be the same. So for example, 1 gram is 10 to the power 12 picogram, or 1 picogram then can be written as 1 10 to the power minus 12 gram, right? So same you can do it for the other parameters, right? So here is a chart of how to do this, but you should be practicing and doing this more commonly just to get the hang of it. So I have done it from 1 gram to all the way to femtogram, which is 10 to the power 15 femtogram, or you could say that 1 femtogram is 10 to the power minus 15 gram, Occasionally you are also may have to use like the intermediate conversion, for example milligram to nanogram, like 1 milligram is 10 to the power 6 nanograms and so on. So these things you will learn. So if you are not sure initially how to do this, I suggest you convert 1 milligram to gram, which is 10 to the power minus 3 gram, and then gram can be converted to nanogram, which is 10 to the power minus 3, and 1 gram is 10 to the power 9 nanogram, right? So overall it is becoming 10 to the power 6 nanogram, right? So that is a stepwise way of doing this. You don't have to remember, you just understand the process of doing it. So same thing can be done for volume and the concentration units. Okay, so that covers the third step also, that make sure all the units are converted to simplest units. So all the three steps are done: identifying the problem, identifying the parameters, sorry, then identifying the problems from it, then make sure all the units are converted to simplest units, and then finally solving the problem. So we now have to do this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve some problems. So I'll exit the full screen here because I have to use the calculator, online calculator. So this problem states that you have been given 2 ml of 0.5 molar sodium chloride. The molecular weight is given. How many moles of sodium chloride is or are present in it? How many microgram of NaCl are present in it? So if you look at the problem solving step flow chart, so it says that first identify the parameters, then identify the problem type, make sure all the units are converted, and finally solve it. So let's identify the parameters here. So first thing, 2 ml is a volume. If you go back to our table, you would identify that this is a volume. So second thing is given is the 0.5 millimolar. So molar and all its derivatives are concentration. That's all, everything that is provided. The molecular weight is a constant and it is provided as 58.5 gram mole inverse. You could have also written it as gram per mole, would have been the identical thing. Okay, now how many moles of NaCl are present? So this is your problem statement, right? So moles, if you look up, moles is the weight, right? The second problem statement, how many micrograms are present in it? Micrograms or grams are also weight. So these two are unknown. The known factors, volume. Okay, so first step is done. The parameters we have identified. We have identified that volume is given, concentration is given, molecular weight is given, weight is being asked to calculate in moles and the microgram unit. So first step is done. Now what kind of problem it is? So four types of problem. The first is two known and one unknown. So you don't have to consider the molecular weight, that is a constant anyway. But otherwise, if you see, this is volume is known, concentration is known, and weight is unknown. So this is a type 1 problem, that is two known, one unknown type of problem. So now what we are going to do, we are going to solve this using the, we will take step 3 and 4 to solve this. So let's convert it into simplest units. So volume is before we go ahead, so how do we convert, how do we solve this problem? We will use the equation that is known to us, that is concentration is weight per volume. We rearrange this to write weight equals to concentration multiplied by volume, right? So that is how we will solve the problem. But before that, we need to take step 3, that is conversion of everything into simplest units. So let's do that. So volume is provided in 2 ml of the solution. So we convert it into 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 liter. Concentration is provided into millimolar. So let's convert the simplest units, that is 0.5 millimolar. So we convert it into 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 3 molar. Okay. So on molar, if we remember correctly, molar can be represented as moles per liter. That's just rewriting the molar. So molar can be represented as number of moles per liter. So now the step 3 is also done, and we have done now we are ready to go ahead with the solving this problem. So let's feed volume and concentration into this equation and find out the weight and see if we can get the weight in these two parameters, in these two units. So weight now is concentration, which is 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 3 moles per liter, and make sure to write units, okay, otherwise they will make many mistakes. Then you are putting in the volume, which is 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 liter. Okay, and what's going to happen next? You are going to cancel the liter and liter, and you will end up with a moles. Okay, so liter and liter is cancelled, and you are going to end up with a 0.5 into 2 into 10 to the power minus 6 moles. Okay, so that is one of the answer. Okay, so that is the first answer that is done. So that is the first answer. Now the second answer is how many microgram of NaCl is present in it. So this brings the answer in moles, which is a weight quantity, and this question statement asks that it has to be converted into a microgram. So the final answer should be certain microgram, which is also weight. So this is now the second part of it. Is it a unit conversion problem? Okay, nothing else. So this I am taking in, and how do I convert into gram or microgram? So you make here your molecular weight comes in handy. Okay, so molecular weight is a switch that can be used to convert moles to grams and vice versa. So if you multiply this with molecular weight, see what happens. Into 10 to the power minus 6 moles, and I am multiplying this with the molecular weight. So your final unit should be gram. Okay, so you have to get to that final unit. So this is gram per mole inverse. Now mole inverse and moles, they are cancelled, and you end up with a unit of grams, right? So that is what you want in your final answer. So you are getting 0.5 into 2 into 10 to the power minus 6 into 58.5 grams, and 1 gram is 10 to the power 6 micrograms, right? So if you go back to a previous slide, so 1 gram here is 10 to the power 6 grams. So we feed this here, and let's see what we get. 0.5 into 2 10 to the power minus 6, that was originally present, into 58.5 gram. We are converting into 10 to the power 6. So 1 gram is 10 to the power minus 6, 10 to the power 6 microgram. So here now few more things cancel out. 10 to the power minus 6, 10 to the power 6 cancels out. The answer is 0.5 into 2 into 58.5. So that is how you solve this problem. So this is an example of how you can use this equation to find one unknown from two known, and also from this to this you are doing a unit conversion. Okay, so that is how we are going to solve more problems like this. Okay, so we will do now. We move on to the next video.